play cities. Now, this game is a bit of a tile placement city building game, but before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Robert, can you tell us a little bit more about Cities?
Cities, it's a brand new game, 2024 release. Overall rank is 3,292, rated is 7.6. Plays 2 to 4 people in about 30 to 40 minutes. It took us longer than 30 to 40 minutes to play it. Ages 10 and up, which I think is pretty accurate. It's a pretty light game. Designed by Steve Finn and the great Phil Walker Harding. Art by Jorge Tabanera Redondo. Published by Devir, which is kind of surprising because I'm used to Devir being a little bit heavier than what this game is. MSRP is $29.99. I only found 2 places a little bit cheaper. Card House and Miniature Market both had it at $23.99. Everyone else had it at $29.99.
All right, so let's talk about quality of components. You have these stackable stackable buildings, which are pretty cool. They actually have the windows and doors and different things going on.
I don't know if I want
just
to
windows.
go out the door on the higher levels, but maybe it was supposed to be balconies.
They're like
just
balconies with windows.
Yeah, but they don't have any kind of railing, so they're not built to code.
Okay. Then you also have your tiles. Your tiles are pretty standard thickness, I would say. There's no linen finish on that, nor the board. They're both very, very smooth. You do have your workers, which are kind of a unique shape in the fact that they're not standard maples, but all of them are the same, just different colors. And then overall...
And cards. The cards stop.
Yeah, but again, no linen finish.
No linen
they're
finish.
pretty basic.
And not very thick either.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with the 6 for quality of components, just because, I mean, these are kind of cool, but there's nothing, like, spectacular about anything. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a board. The board's kind of nice. It's got an inlay for the different cities. That's why they call it cities, because they have all these different tiles for different cities, and they're all two-sided, so you get a lot of variety on the different.
Which is different scoring mechanics.
But as far as the component quality, it's not. There's nothing spectacular about it. I think 6 is probably a fair score.
I'm gonna go just a little bit higher because these are nicer than the wooden pieces to Catan. So yeah. I'm gonna go 6.5.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. All right, so moving on to the theme is you're buying you're building a 3x3 city with different waterways and different park locations, as well as different city buildings. And obviously today we are in Essen.
As Essen's coming up.
That's right.
Yeah, Essen's was coming up.
Which is still our dream trip to do that someday.
Yeah, someday.
So this is the closest we could get to it.
Yeah.
Yep. This year anyway, we have dreams. All right. So overall, thematically, I love the fact that it becomes 3D and the fact that you're building up. So that's really fantastic. Other than that, it still feels very much like a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get this cool 3-dimensional effect, but beyond that, it feels more puzzly than not.
Right. I agree. And there's a lot of luck involved in the fact that you don't know what's going to be dealt to you, but the strategy being is we'll talk about gameplay, but which area do I go to first?
Yeah,
and so that's where I think the meat of the strategy is knowing where to go.
All about drafting.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
I mean, and then art-wise, I think it's all right.
I think the board looks really good. The artwork for the board, the artwork for the city tile is really nice. I think the artwork on the parks and the water and the marine creatures are really neat.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
just
spectacular.
not a whole lot. No, it's not spectacular, but it's nice.
Well,
I mean, it's all right.
I would say I think it's clever that they made like the smartphone be the bonus scoring cards for
because you're taking pictures.
Yeah, they got the camera on the back. I thought that was really clever. But yeah, there's nothing that just is going to wow you and make you feel that you are in a foreign city. I mean, other than the fact that you're building structures.
Yeah, so overall, I think for theme, I'll probably rate this a 6 as well. There's just nothing super outstanding with it. Besides, there is the 3-dimensional, so I'll give it a 6.5 instead, because I do like the fact that you're climbing up. But there's a couple other ones that have done it a lot better.
I agree, but I think I'm a 7 just because I like the details of the board. Like you got little train tracks going in, and the artwork is nice. So, and I do like the 3D element of it as well. I'm a 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harmonies definitely did it better. But as far as, this game, I think I'm probably about the same area you guys are, 6.5 to 7. I'll probably go ahead and give it a 6.5.
Okay. All right. So moving to the actual rule book. This wasn't a very difficult
No,
read, was
it's
it?
a 4-page rule book. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
those are always nice. Short and
no
simple.
cover though. It goes straight in. It shows the pictures of the components and counts, which is good. The overview of the gameplay. If you're playing 2 players, which I wouldn't recommend, they've got a variant for the 2 players, but I think it's definitely a 3 or 4 player game. I think it's ideally 4 is probably the sweet spot for it, but 3 works fine as well. The shows you how to set up the board. It takes no time to do that really. Start around what you're supposed to do, which is it's all about drafting. So
Yep.
it's very simple. This is definitely a light game. It's
Sure.
not even light to medium. And then how your achievements on the cities for the various city tiles. Does not go into detail. We did have a question on the promo S, and there's no explanation about any of those bonus cities. So
Right.
you're on your own, and right now there's no explanation on Board Game Geek even
Yeah, because it's
for
too
it.
new.
Yeah.
So most of them are pretty self-explanatory. There was one on the Essen board that we were a little questioning as far as what it exactly
I'm still
meant.
not 100% sure on it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but all in all, it's a pretty easy game to learn, and for that, I'm gonna go ahead and give this I'll probably give it a 7.5. I would have given it 8 if it wasn't for the fact that it didn't have the
Special ones.
special tiles. Cities.
All right. So let's actually move to the actual gameplay. So you're going to have 4 different workers, but there are 4 different areas of the board that you will be visiting. Like you mentioned, you'll have your actual victory points, which are your phone cards. That's going to be at this top row here. The second row is actually going to be your tiles that you're going to build your city with. Now, you are shooting for a 3 by 3 city block or board, if you will. So you kind of keep that in mind for those placement. And then the second thing is attractions. So obviously you want to put attractions in your city, but you need some variety because people don't want to see the same thing over and over again. You'll get victory points based on the different attractions within a given area. Okay, so you may end up creating 2 different like ocean areas, and you can kind of duplicate some things thereby because you have 2 different areas. Same thing with the parks areas, which are basically your green spaces. And then the last one is actually the building components for the different buildings that you have. They obviously come in different colors and 1 levels, and you may want to, maybe you want low buildings or high buildings based on the victory points that you end up picking up with that phone card. So obviously I have 4 workers. I'm only going to get to place 1 worker at a time, so I have to choose which row do I need to go to for the thing that I most need or want. Now, so it kind of, because you kind of, do I want to get the victory points that I need the most, or do I need a certain tile more, or do I need the different attractions because maybe there's only 1 that I could use, or maybe is it the perfect color combination is out and I have to go get that for my buildings. So I think it's very interesting the fact that it is a kind of a drafting aspect to that, about choosing where to go first, and does it matter? Like,
And that's
okay.
the drafting part, but the stuff on the board itself is random. So
Yeah.
it's a nice mix of both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's spots where it's more advantageous, like the very first spot, you get 2 tiles instead of 1, or you get 4 buildings instead of 3. Or there's the kind of the negative side where you get a blind draw, where the tiles or cards are put face down.
And this last row is
in
all
the last
blind.
row. And that can can burn you pretty bad.
It can burn you.
It's
It
like-
helped me, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helped me too because it's like I didn't want anything that was visible on the board, so I just
Right.
went for the random draw. And most of the time, I either net neutraled or gained from it, so it wasn't that big of a deal
Yeah.
for me.
But it is nice and it's consistent that every row has that random element to
Yeah.
it.
Right.
It's just not one row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one has the first player token, as well as getting 2
Random
blind draws
buildings, yeah.
random out of the bag. So I thought they gave you some strategic decision making based on that, even though it's very light.
Yeah. I will say I do think it's funny that I didn't get any of these bonuses up
And
top.
she kicked our butt.
but I still won. So I thought that was actually a kind of a great relief to me because, yeah, those will help, but those aren't the determination of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like that when the end of bonuses can help, but they're not the if you don't get them, you lose.
Yeah.
Like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's one of those things where I think you need to kind of pay attention to what your opponents are stockpiling for, because I didn't pay attention to you at all, and I didn't realize you had all these bonuses for 3-layer buildings.
Well, that's nothing you could have done
yeah.
to stop me.
Well, I could have drafted them before you got them.
Two of mine were both random draws, so no, not really.
Okay, but yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Yeah,
Is the buildings by themselves do not have no inherent value, but the bonus cards are stackable, so you can get a bunch of bonus points for building the same type.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard at the beginning of the game, not having. So, like, one of the first things I did was get a victory point thing, so I had actually had something to work towards. Because when you're randomly building, not with a direction, it makes it very, very difficult. And I think later on it got harder to get points because, and that aspect is like, okay, I know what I need to get, but also other people know what they need to get, so they're grabbing stuff pretty fast. So it makes it a little more difficult. Overall, I actually really like this kind of it was definitely a light puzzle game in that sense. I like being able to actually see what I'm building. So overall, I think I'm probably going to give this we'll give this a 7. I thought it was a cute little filler. I definitely think it's a great filler game.
I think it's an excellent game to teach newer players because it's got a couple of interesting elements and how it uses those elements, and the game is a little unique. So I think that's really cool as far as tile drafting goes, as well as kind of managing those resources that you get, in this case buildings. But I just think it's an interesting mix that you don't see like it's done here. So I kind of like that a lot, especially when teaching newer gamers. I'm the same. I think a 7's a good score.
And that's where I am as well. The first time I played, we had Sarah included and Alex.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed the game. We also had our friend Brian, who is not really a heavy gamer. He likes games, but he doesn't really play a lot of the heavy stuff. So this one he thought was great. He loved it. So I think if you've got people who like strategy games but they don't get to play them regularly, or if they're wanting to take a step beyond the basics, this is definitely a good starter game right here, especially for drafting. You know? So I think it's a good teaching game for that purpose. And I think with 4 players, there's a lot of more meat to it because of somebody's got to take those face down ones.
Right.
Well, I honestly like taking the face down ones because
they helped me.
If up front looked like crap, I was really like I didn't mind.
I'm the same way.
You know, I was fine taking especially the early rounds. The early rounds, I'm like, I don't have no idea what I'm doing. Let's go for it, you know. So yeah, I was absolutely fine with it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.